I'm happy you were able to. I'm happy you touched on the big three, because as we talk about sacrifice, I remember that specific summer, and so many teams were. And then me and Dwayne just talked about this the other day. So many teams were saving up and gearing up money to bring in two superstars, and it was public. Right. Everybody's, New York has the opportunity to bring in two superstars. I think Atlanta had the opportunity to bring. It was so many teams that had the opportunity to bring in two superstars, and everybody was taking these trips around and visiting these organizations. And I didn't know this, but Dwayne told me this. It was never out in the public. It was never out in the open. But then it kind of got to Dwayne, and that Miami has the opportunity to sign three stars. The great Andy Ellisberg. We have to give him his flowers.
Absolutely. Well, in 2006, the year that we won the title was the year that LeBron and Dwayne and Chris Bosh all signed their extensions. Mm-hmm. It's not a coincidence they're all represented by CAA.
Yes,
So they all signed.
True.
And then we took the contracts. We took a look at the contracts with options and all that stuff. And we saw that each one of them would be free agents in 2010. So I said, Andy, okay, we got this 3-4 years from now. I said, unless we trade for one of them, I think one day we might have an opportunity to sit at a table with LeBron, with Chris and Dwayne, or all three of them. And so from that day on, Andy went to work making sure that we would have the cap space in 2010 to sign all three of them. And a lot of people said, well, the Heat can't sign three of them. The people forgot that one of them was ours. That we had, they had bird rights on Dwayne, so we could sign him last. And so a lot of people didn't think that we were ever going to be able to get all three of them. And I was confident because, look at LeBron was banging his head against the wall for 7 years in Cleveland, getting to the finals, doing everything he could do.
Yes.
They just couldn't beat certain teams, at the time. Chris was doing the same thing for 7 years, beating his head against the wall, Toronto, and playing great and trying to win.
Great.
Dwayne had won one, and so this was an opportunity for these players in their prime, 25, 27, 27, to come together, and then to have you and get Mike, that first year. I still think we should have won the first year, but anyhow, you go back and you look at it, but Andy has been a person who not only knows talent, but he, basketball operations, the operations, manual and how you run your organization, cap, what's going on today. You need somebody, a scientific mathematician to understand the cap today. But Mandy is great. Andy's great, and he's really been so important to me. But that was just getting those three, and to have that summer, I never forget. That's when the term came out. A guy by the name of Stephen Covey wrote a book called First Things First, and so and out of that book, the very first line in that book was, "The main thing is to make sure the main thing remains the main thing." And so when I pitched that to LeBron and Leon Rose and Maverick Carter and Randy Mims, we're all in a room together we're trying to recruit them. That was our pitch. And when I said that, Maverick looked at LeBron and whispered to him, like, "I know that book. It's called First Things First." I think Maverick had already read the book himself, but it was a great day for us. Man. I mean, it's when we got Zoe, okay, and then we got PJ and Dan Marley and Tim Hardaway. We had that group with Keith Askins. That year. That's right. That was a hell of a team. And then when we got, we built that young team, and then we got Shaq, and they get the big three. We had a really good run. Man, absolute run.
How was it kept so quiet though? Because everybody was all over ESPN, and nobody was speaking about Miami having the opportunity for three. Yeah. How did you? How was
we
it?
knew it.
You guys knew.
We knew it. Everybody, and Dwayne knew it. I said, "Dwayne, you're the linchpin here." I said, "Don't you think about going back to Chicago?" I said, "It's not about. We're going to give you." We had 48 million or whatever it was. Everybody was going to get 16.6. That's what the max was.
Yes.
Today they get 50.
Man, crazy.
But that was a lot back then. 16.6. So we had enough room for three guys. and Mike. And we had to trade Michael Beasley. I love Mike.
Yes.
I think Mike, with you group of guys, you see, you would have brought him along in a great way. He might have led the team in scoring.
Ain't no doubt.
Buckets.
What the hell? I ain't never seen nothing like it.
But we had 5 guys that we could start that team with, and then we started adding a bunch of minimums and stuff like that. But it wasn't until we got Shane and then Ray and Chris Anderson and
Bird.
the Birdman. You know.
Can you talk about how good Chris Bosh was? Because we're huge on this podcast about just giving Chris his flowers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think people understand. And I think the generation behind Bam, they get on my damn nerves. I hate them. Because they made a comment the other day that Chris Bosh is closer to Nick Claxton than he is to, what's the guy in L.A.? I'm having a brain freeze.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis.
Oh, Anthony Davis.
The generation said that Chris Bosh is closer to Nick Claxton. No disrespect, Nick Claxton. I love your work ethic. I love what you do for your team. But they said Chris Bosh is closer to Nick Claxton than he is to Anthony Davis. Yeah. And it pissed me off. Yeah. I don't think this generation understands how really good of a basketball player Chris Bosh was.
Yeah. He's one of a kind. He's unique as a 7-footer. You know, yes. I remember scouting him at Georgia Tech and you know, knew the coach down there and everything. But, you know, when he went to Toronto, if you think about him, was really one of the first prototype, you know, stretch bigs and could also score inside.
Yes.
Incredibly high IQ guy, and just a great player. So when you put a guy in that kind of category, and then he comes to Miami with LeBron and Dwayne, and he was the guy. The three of them really had some issues. Yeah. They had to deal with those issues, you know. And I talked to him, you know, after that first year, and I said, "You guys got to work this stuff out. You know, you can't just have a coach say, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to do it my way." I said, "You got to work this out, and there has to be some, as I said, voluntary cooperation on your part that you're all going to accept the role." So it was Bron, it was Dwayne, and it was Chris, you know. And so that's basically how the hierarchy of greatness was. And the players accepted that. And they were all great players.
Yes.
And that was the most important movement for that team, for those guys to, you know, I can remember, you know, that Boston game. Come on, that Boston game. When I think it was Paul Pierce drilled one in LeBron's face, took us back to the 7th game. Yeah. LeBron went for 40, 45 or 17 or something, you know. I mean, these guys had incredible games. And so Chris, you know, with the big rebound to Ray Allen and the big block for Danny Green, you know, and Mike going on a run of threes and Shane going on a run of threes and Dwayne being who Dwayne is. The most fun part of that team for me, I loved it because I wasn't coaching at the time, but the most fun part of it was when we got out on the break.
Ooh, yeah.
And Dwayne was on one wing, and and then Dwayne would be throwing these lobs, and then Dwayne would go out of bounds like this, and LeBron would be dunking it, you know. So it reminded me of Showtime in a lot of ways with those three players. But Chris was, without a doubt, if those two players were the real keys, Chris was the one that was the straw that stirred the drink because he sacrificed the most.
I agree.
Yeah, it really was.
OG fam, we got another exciting week of hoops coming up, and I've got the perfect way to get you even closer to the action on the court. Right now, all new DraftKings customers who bet just $5 will get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code OGs. The crown is yours. That's right. New customers get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins after betting just $5. And don't forget to stay in on the action and use your $150 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. If your sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code OGs and bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code OGs only at DraftKings Sportsbook.